Hello and welcome to the Call for Help show. I'm your host, attorney Paul Rebein. With me here in the studio today are Dr. Brenda Fruster, and Robin Lockett. How are you guys today?
Hey, good and you?
Good,
Doing great, doing great.
good. Well, the topic of our show today will hopefully get people talking. Um, we're going to talk today about the Florida Department of Children and Family Services. This is the government organization that is responsible for maintaining the safety of children, uh, removing children from abusive or neglectful homes, and placing them in foster care and working with the parents to either reunite the family or take away the kids. Um, the USA Today newspaper did an expose last year that really got a lot of attention. They started with the fact that um, at one point, Department of Children and Families was a government agency and had government employees, but somewhere along the way, the government decided that it would be a good thing to privatize Department of Children and Family Services. And then it used to be that the goal of the institution was to primarily reunite children with their families. But about 6 years ago, when Rick Scott was governor, there was a decision made that they were going to start getting tough on the parents. And really, they hired a bunch more investigators. They rewrote the rules to make it easier to take kids from the homes. But the big problem was that there was nowhere to put these kids that they were taking from the homes. There weren't enough foster parents. There weren't enough group homes. We heard stories here in Tampa about kids sleeping in offices and in cars parked in front of Wawa just because there was nowhere for them to go. So I invite all of our viewers and listeners, if you're watching on Facebook, send us a comment if you have some thoughts about DCF. If you're watching us on WTMP, don't, because we are live today on Friday, but we are recorded on WTMP. But Pastor Brenda, I know you've had some experience in this system. Tell us about that and give us some of your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I'm a guardian ad litem and have been for some years now. And I count it a great privilege to render my volunteer service there because of my own personal background, and so I delve into this head on. But I have seen some really, really, really bad cases of these children that are in homes that are abusive, whether it's emotional, physical, verbal, and these children have just turned out to be a mess. And trying to find foster homes for these children, only to put them back into a home that's already slotted to be abusive. And so, you're praying, literally, I'm praying that more foster parents would come on board, open up their homes for these children. And of course, the government takes care of the foster parents, but some of the foster parents just don't want to deal with the government. Sometimes they're on board and they're on time with payments and medical access and all of those things. And then sometimes they're delayed. And when they're delayed, it puts the children behind. So, I mean, there's so much that can be said, but I just want to salute all of the foster parents
Yes.
uh, out there and say to them that you're doing a wonderful job. Um, Keep up the great work, and there is hope.
Yes, yes. Being a foster parent, I think, is a labor of love. Although this USA Today report did expose some foster parents who were abusive
Exactly.
themselves, and I've heard some people talk about foster parents who are just doing it for the money. That they really don't care about the kids, and sadly, some of these kids were physically and sexually abused by foster parents, even though there had been a previous report or allegation about abuse or sexual abuse against some of the foster parents. They were still allowed to have kids because they just didn't have enough places to put them, and that should never happen. Robin, what do you think about the DCF foster care system?
I think that there's this offers another opportunity to see how the system is broken. I think that, when I know in regards to parental rights, it takes a lot for parents, a mother or a father, rights to be taken, right? Because they have to sign off if they don't complete the work plan or the case plan when a child is taken away from them, and they escalate. They keep their rights because they want to try to reunite those parents with the kids. But I think in the process of it, the system is broken. I think when, as you said, once before there was it was government employees and so forth. And then it privatized. Eckerd now runs the foster care system. Yes. And just when I was with regional council, I worked for a company, organization by the name of Regional Council, and they handle all or most of the dependent cases in Hillsborough County. And just the process of how Eckerd does things, it wasn't in favor of the kid. They take a kid away from somebody, and that mother has 3 kids, and they separate the kids and put them at 4 corners of the county, and then say the mother doesn't have transportation, but she has to catch a bus to Palm River, just all over the county to visit her kids. And if she doesn't, they snag her for that in regards to saying that she doesn't come out and visit the kids. So yeah. I think it's unjust. I think that it's a system that needs to be revamped because it is a hindrance upon our community.
Yes. All right. Call4Help show viewers, it's time for your comments. We'd love to hear from you. What do you think about DCF? What do you think about pulling kids from their families? Obviously, if it's an abuse situation, that needs to happen. But from my understanding, there's a lot of cases that it's not necessarily abuse. It might be a drug situation. Or it might be the domestic violence between the 2 parents. But it seems like once you get in this system, it's hard to ever get out. And I know I've talked to people who were in the system as children, and now they're in the system as adults. So it's obviously a broken system and needs improvement. But what can be done to improve it? One of the things that the USA Today article talked about was that there's just not enough caseworkers. And these caseworkers have large volume of kids that they're responsible for. And it's a very high turnover. And it's just they're set up to fail. Like there's no way you could do the job with the number of kids that you have. And so they end up, either quitting or being terminated. One of the statistics that I looked up about the Hillsborough County organization, which is called Eckerd Community Alternatives, whatever that means, they do these reports where they talk about different statistics. And their last report, they gave the statistic of their case manager termination rate for the last 12 months. I take this to mean it's either the number of people who got fired or the number of people who got fired or quit. But for Eckerd in Hillsborough County, the termination rate was 121%. I don't know how you do that. Is there nobody working there now, or a negative number of people working there?
So is that termination rate for the employment, or termination rate? Does it deal with cases?
I don't know. It says case manager. Maybe it is. It says case manager termination rate. But
and is that termination of parents' rights? because
No.
when your rights are taken, that your rights are terminated. They take them away. So I'm
I don't
curious
know.
to
It
find out what
says
that is.
caseload and turnover. So the average number of children per caseworker is 22.2
Wow.
in Tampa. That seems like a lot.
That's a
If you've
lot.
ever been through one of these cases, it's very involved. There's lots of visits. There's lots of court hearings. There's all kinds of reports that you have to do. So, but then it says average caseload is 11.8. So I'm not sure.
So
Not
that's
sure
the
what that
difference.
means.
So what was the 22.5?
Average children per worker.
So that can be 2-3 children. Like a file can have 2 and 3 children in it versus, and that's one file
Okay, gotcha.
versus not.
Yeah, 22 kids. That seems like that seems like a lot on average.
Yeah, because when they're coming into your home, they're not just taking one child; they're taking all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Pastor
each child
Brenda,
has a case.
didn't you tell us you were a foster parent at one time?
Yeah. And when we lived, we were stationed out in Tustin, California, and we were foster parents, which we were moving into adopting the child, but we're foster parenting. We foster parent for like a year, and then we moved into adopting. But it appears to me now that it's much larger, a larger scale, and and children are lost in the system. The child that we had, we certainly embraced her, and but the one of the parents' rights was terminated, and the other one wasn't. So when we tried to move into adoption, it was going to take both parents being terminated. But I want to say this, as you two were talking, one of the things that we found out about the child when we got her, she was 18 months old. Keep 18 months in your mind. And I kept watching her and noticing some things about her, like somebody has touched this child. And sure enough, when I went back in her files, the male figure in the foster home had molested her. Now, here's the real sad part about it. They were still bringing foster children into that home. And that to me was extremely sad, because this child at 18 months old had been physically molested, so much so that she knew male male parts. And I thought, he needs to be arrested. He needs to, well, I'm not going to tell you what all I said. That's not
Yeah,
good.
no, that's anybody that could do that to a child is.
And just imagine the limited amount of foster parents that are there. And when
Yes.
What used to be DCF or ECHRS or the system, we'll call it the system, when the system takes a child, now they do look at relatives that can take that can bring the child in, but they do background check on them. So when I was with regional council, we had cases where the grandmother and grandfather could have had a record 20-30 years ago.
Wow.
And they're upstanding citizens, have been upstanding citizens for the last 20 years. They will not put those kids in there. And that's a relative. They will not.
Wow.
They'll put them with a stranger.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
It's I can't imagine what it's like to be the child taken out away from your parents and put in. They were saying that they don't have enough foster parents, so they have kids under 10 staying in group homes. Can you imagine being 5-6 years old and you have to go live in a group home with high school kids or what? It's just a disaster, in my opinion.
Yeah,
absolutely it is. But can you imagine because they don't have the space. When you turn 18 years old, 19 years old, whether you're ready or not, some of them are put out of the foster home because they're now the system feels now, because no one's adopted you, or no one's taking you in, that you're not going to be taken in. So here's some money, go to school, go to college, but you have to get out. And so now these 18, 19-year-olds don't have anywhere to go. And all they've known all their life is foster care. So, there's a catch-22 in both of these babies who are in group homes, and then these teenagers who got to find their way.
And even if they are with a foster parent, they age out. So when they turn 18 years old, they age out of that foster parent's home. Yes. So the only good thing I see about being a foster kid, if there is one, is that they go to, they have an opportunity, they get free college.
Yeah,
free college tuition, and I think in the state of Florida. But that's the only thing. But it's a challenge. It really is.
Yeah. Well, obviously, what do we think could be done? Obviously, more money to pay foster parents more, or train more foster parents. Maybe we should not be so quick to take a child from
I think that
a
needs
family.
To be revamped.
Do you guys think that there's any racial disparities in this system?
Heck yeah.
What
is that a question? Look at the kids in foster care. Heck yeah.
Do you think, Robin, that the race of the person has something to do with whether the kid's going to be removed?
Because at the situation when somebody comes, so we fall back onto the police, right? When the police comes out, who is he arresting? He's arresting the parents or a parent. Who's called out there? Eckers, DCF. So once that call comes, it's a domino effect. Mm-hmm. It's a domino effect. So absolutely, that's part of the system. And that's just a shame. It really is. When you really, it blows my mind every time I sit and I think about not the system, a system, which equates to the system, because everything that touches our lives, right?
Yeah, we
are disproportionately a big factor in that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it can't be by happenstance, if that's a word. By mistake. But it's real. It is so real. It is real. Somebody that gets arrested now, and when I say that they try everything, they don't automatically take a parent's rights, because even if a parent is in jail, their rights aren't automatically taken from them. They can still hold on to their rights. They just have to, go through that. So that part is fair. Right. Yes. The reason why they're there is not, but it takes like the mother that she killed her kids a couple years ago, or she set them on fire, or their rights were taken automatically, right? Something like that. That's extreme, and
that's extreme.
Yeah. When a mother killed her kid and tried to set her on fire in the garage or something like that, it was a big story here.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think she had been a foster child too.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely some issues here that need to be addressed. I don't understand why anybody would think that it would be a good idea to privatize this. I mean,
me either.
Why would you want
more money,
a business to try to cut their expense? A business is going to try to make a profit, right?
No. So what they do when they privatize, they're still getting money from the government. They're just charging the government more money.
Right. But what I'm saying is the business wants to make a profit. So they want to have more money coming in than they spent. And so, of course, you're going to cut back wherever you can to increase your profit. So I don't understand the thinking why anybody thought that private entities would somehow do better than what the government was doing? I guess probably at the time the government was doing a really lousy job, and somebody thought, oh, this would be a good idea to make
My
it
way of
private.
thinking, because of Rick Scott and his Medicaid fraud, I I think that wherein a child was worth, and wrong verbiage, but the cost of a child was worth, let's say, an even number, $100. If it's privatized, they're able to charge $200.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they decrease it. They decrease. They don't privatize things just to cut people out and then try to make it. They privatize because it's a bigger benefit. Those Republicans, Rick Scott wasn't trying to. He was taking it out for them to make more money, not for them to try to do the right thing, cut it and modify it, and then they try to struggle. They're able to charge more money. They're trying to. Just like when they're in war, they're able to charge more money.
Interesting. What else do we think could be done? I think you got to look at the underlying causes. What is causing these families to lose their kids? A lot of time it's drugs. It's not a violent crime. It's not necessarily physical abuse or whatever, but it's drugs and neglect. But would the money be better spent?
There's stress in the family, and stress in the family causes arguments. And if you're already a physical person, you put your hands on each other, and that's a division. The financial stress is definitely a division. And technically, if you ask Brenda, I will say that because of the economics in this world, there is already a stress on the family. And then spiritually, we have attacks on the family. You attack the male, and when you attack the male component of a family, you start wearing against his manhood. You start coming against his ability to take care of his family. So that might send somebody out to drinking or drugging. So there's a big spiritual attack against family. And with that happening, you put a sword between the husband and the wife. Well, if you're living together, you put a sword there, and that just causes so much division. It causes a whole lot of stuff. So
I think I just piggybacking off of Pastor Fruster. I think that yes, and right.
Yes,
I think that we do have a problem with drugs in our house and that environment being put into our families, right? We do. So we have to be upfront and honest about that. There is an issue with that. If a house is raided for drugs, should the kid be taken out because of that act? No fault of his. Now, I think what they need to do is they need to modify the system in regards to where the child goes. By all means, if a family member wants to keep that child and that family member meets the criteria outside of background checks, because that's the largest thing that keeps them from being able to keep their family home. I think then that's one way to do it, right? I think so. That needs to be modified in regards to that criteria.
Yeah, and let's say there's domestic violence going on, and the police have to come out and take somebody away. Should Child Protective Services be called as well, or should you consider it to be just something between the two parents and not call them out?
That's a tough question.
That's a tough one. Because normally what happens when Child Protective Services come out after a domestic mother is affected. she could be welling out on the kid because the husband is, so it's a domino effect with emotions. So in regards to that, they get a case plan where they have to go see a counselor or seek help and, or something of that nature to try to make them whole again. So that's a tough one because, like I said, if she or he, because sometimes women beat men behind too.
Yeah.
So either one of them are being in it, then, I think that the avenue for that is for the parent to get counseling and for the child to get a counseling, because they do what they see and they reenact that. So, yeah. So that's a tough one.
If you're interested in this topic at all, there's a new show out on Netflix called Made, and it's about someone that is in an abusive relationship and has her child taken away, and her struggle to work and find work, take care of the child, get the child back. It's a pretty good show.
That's real. That is so real. That's real. Even with verbal abuse, that's real. They may not hit you, but they're verbally, emotionally abusive. So there's so many different sides to that coin. That's real, and it affects the kid. It really does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. You see a kid that's with their parents fighting like that all the time. Sometimes they just sit there with their headphones on and act like nothing is happening,
like they don't see anything. And and the bad news is, the good news is they act like they don't see anything with the headphones on. The bad news is they see everything. They hear everything. They can even read lips, because what they're trying to do is drown it out, but the headphones is not drowning it out enough. And at Winners Worship Center, we try to provide counseling for those families that are among us that we know. We try to provide personal counseling for them, and when we can't provide personal counseling, then we try to find something a little more advanced, because our goal is to heal that relationship. Our goal is to try to keep the family together. But if not, please, let's not put the children away. Let's do so. It's a lot of work, and it's good work. It's not a bad work. I don't complain about it at all. I want to see families together. That's God ordained families. He ordained a male and a female together.
How do you create the tools for someone to, and that's providing tools, and that's in life. And if somebody is abusive, or if somebody is doing that, guess what? Look at the history, because 9 times out of 10 they saw it. That child, you think that child is not seeing it, but guess what? He's going to grow up and mimic the same thing.
Yep.
Exactly.
Not every child, but in some form of fashion, most. Yeah. And that's real.
Well, speaking of families, I want to take this opportunity to wish my dad a happy birthday. It's his 88th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday,
Mr. Rebein.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if he's listening. My mom listens. Mom, if you're listening, turn it on. Dad, happy birthday. It's also
happy birthday. Can you sing, Paul?
You don't want to hear that. I can.
And then Saturday is Paul and Lori's wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Oh, happy! Oh, so you're going to be busy.
Yes.
Happy anniversary, Lori and Paul.
Yes. Rebein. Happy anniversary, baby cakes. What I call her.
How many years?
11 years.
Wow.
That's how I remember. That's how I remember my dad's birthday, because when we got married, the day before, we celebrated his 77th birthday. So, and it's our 11th year. So I'm like 88.
88.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, having a good parent is everything.
Oh yeah.
So
it's that is a foundation. Me as a mom, I mean, I have 2 boys, and hopefully they think I'm a good mother.
I'm sure they do.
We're going to have to get them on here and find out.
They do.
They may not always agree with me because I said, I had to raise 2 boys.
Yes.
But
Well,
and
I'm
not
the,
even being dad, but raising them to be respectful, to be
Yes.
honest, and to be, just true, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was
Well,
a journey.
I'm the youngest of 7 boys, so you can imagine what it was like for my parents.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yes. So you're the youngest of 7. My mom has 7
7.
kids too, so I'm the second to the oldest.
The youngest is obviously the best, in my opinion. It's in my opinion. The older ones, not so, not so much. But yeah, it was a wild experience growing up in that environment. But it was a different environment back then. I'm sure it'd be even harder today. Well, that about does it for our show today. I'm sure we're going to revisit this topic. But obviously, there's things that need to be done, things that need to be improved. We pray for all the people involved in that system that they can find some healing and keep these families together. So that's it for our show. We will see you all next week on the Call for Help show.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.